What is actually inside your milk? When you pour that white liquid into your morning coffee or cereal, you probably assume you are getting pure, fresh Australian milk. After all, we are a nation of dairy farms. But what if I told you that most of the milk brands in your supermarket are owned by foreign multinationals? That the dairy cooperative your grandparents trusted was sold to Canadian shareholders for $1.3 billion? And that some processors have been fined nearly $1 million for breaching fair conduct rules with Australian farmers? Australians consume around 100 litres of milk per person every year. But behind those familiar bottles lies a story of foreign takeovers, farmer exploitation, and an industry where the people who wake at 4 a.m. to milk cows have been documented earning as little as $2.46 per hour during the worst periods. Today, we are exposing 7 milk brands sold in Australia that you should avoid. Stay until the end, because I will reveal the genuine Australian-owned alternatives that actually support our farmers. Let's start with the biggest name in Australian dairy. Brand number 1, Paul's. Paul's has been part of Australian life since 1933, when it started on the banks of the Brisbane River. For decades, it was proudly Australian. But in 1998, Italian dairy giant Parmalat bought Paul's Limited. Then in 2011, French multinational Lactalis acquired Parmalat. Today, Paul's is owned by Lactalis Group, the world's largest dairy company, with over 250 production sites across 94 countries. In July 2023, Lactalis Australia was fined $950,000 by the Federal Court for breaching the Dairy Code of Conduct. The ACCC found their contracts with farmers contained unfair terms, including a clause allowing Lactalis to terminate agreements if farmers engaged in what Lactalis considered public denigration of the company. Imagine losing your livelihood for speaking out about how you are being treated. Lactalis also owns Oak, Icebreak, Tamar Valley, Vaalia, and in 2022 they acquired Jalna, the yogurt brand founded by Polish migrant Simon Goldman and owned by the McLaren family for 44 years. Every time you buy these brands, your money flows to a French family business headquartered in Laval, not to Australian farming families. Before we move on to the next brand, I want to extend an invitation. I know it is a lot of information to absorb. When I started researching all of this, I felt completely lost, so I started taking notes. Every brand I researched, every hidden trick on the labels I discovered, every safer alternative I found. Over time, this has become something I use every time I go shopping. Have you ever wished there was a complete guide that told you exactly what to buy and what to avoid? Well, it exists, and I call it my secret Australian food survival guide. It covers all the aisles, all the product categories, the brands to avoid, and the ones worth supporting. If you want to take a look, I have left a link in the pinned comment and a QR code on your screen. I do not know how long I will keep it there, but it has completely changed the way my family eats. If it makes sense to you, I will be waiting for you at that special link. Now let us get back to the video. Brand number 2, Devondale. This one really hurts. Goulburn Cooperative was formed in 1950 by Victorian dairy farmers. For nearly 70 years, it was 100% Australian farmer-owned, processing over 35% of Australia's milk supply. Devondale became one of the most recognised Australian brands on supermarket shelves. Then came the disaster of 2016. Managing Director Gary Helu left after the company slashed farm gate prices below production costs. The Australian Securities and Investments Commission fined Goulburn $650,000 for misleading statements. While farmers struggled to break even, Gary Helu reportedly pocketed $10 million. In 2018, the debt-ridden cooperative was sold to Saputo Incorporated, a Canadian multinational, for $1.31 billion. The cooperative was placed into liquidation in 2020. A 70-year Australian farming legacy gone. Saputo now also owns Sungold, Great Ocean Road, Liddells, Tasmanian Heritage, and South Cape. When you buy these brands, your money goes to Montreal, not Melbourne. Brand number 3, A2 Milk. A2 Milk markets itself as a premium, digestive-friendly alternative. A2 Milk Company is headquartered in New Zealand, not Australia. While they source milk from Australian farms, the profits flow across the Tasman. In May 2025, A2 Milk recalled their light milk 2-litre bottles in Western Australia because of Listeria monocytogenes contamination. Listeria can cause severe illness in pregnant women, unborn babies, the elderly, and immunocompromised individuals. Food standards. Australia-New Zealand data shows Listeria is responsible for 31% of microbial contamination recalls between 2020 and 2024. Brand number 4. Coles and Woolworths home brand milk. Remember the $1 milk wars? On Australia Day 2011, Coles dropped the price of their home brand milk to just $1 per litre. Woolworths immediately matched it. What followed was a race to the bottom that devastated Australian dairy farmers. Dairy farms in Australia have collapsed from 12,896 in 2000 to just 3,889 in 2024. That is a 70% decline. Some farmers during the worst periods were effectively earning $2.46 per hour when you calculated their actual take-home against 70-hour work weeks. In October 2024, Coles, Woolworths and Aldi all cut home brand milk prices again to $1.55 per litre. The Australian Dairy Farmers President said the industry is under increasing pressure and questioned whether this was the supermarket's way of building back consumer trust while using farmers as scapegoats. Meanwhile, the ACCC inquiry found Coles and Woolworths are among the most profitable supermarket businesses compared to global peers. Their margins increased during a cost of living crisis, while dairy farmers barely survive. Brand number 5. Any milk with added permeate. Here is something most Australians do not know. For years, major processors have been adding permeate to milk to cut costs. Permeate is a watery, greenish byproduct from cheese production. Leaked National Foods documents revealed their milk products contained up to 16.43% permeate. Another document showed that adding 16% permeate to 350,000 litres of milk saved nearly $23,000. While permeate is not dangerous, it is essentially watering down your milk with a cheaper substance while charging you the same price. The CEO of A2 Milk said there is very much a taste difference, and consumers can easily taste the difference between permeate milk and milk without it. After consumer backlash, most brands now claim to be permeate-free. But the fact that processors secretly diluted our milk for years to boost profits tells you everything about their priorities. Brand number 6. Aldi Farmdale. Aldi is a German multinational owned by the Albrecht family, one of the wealthiest families in Europe. Their Farmdale milk might be cheap, but every dollar you spend there flows to German shareholders, not Australian farmers. In October 2024, Aldi dropped the price of Farmdale milk by 5 cents to $1.55, following Coles and Woolworths in the latest round of the milk wars. The Australian dairy farmers said lowering home brand milk prices would encourage other brands to follow, putting widespread pressure on dairy farmers. Brand number 7. The processing system itself. Here is the uncomfortable truth. 5 major processors once controlled 79% of Australia's national milk supply. 2 supermarket chains control approximately 65% of grocery sales. Farmers have almost no bargaining power. The ACCC found that processors can modify farmgate prices even after contracts are signed, leaving all risks with farmers. When commodity prices fall, farmers absorb the loss. When processors save money through permeate or efficiency gains, those savings rarely reach farmers. Milk production in Australia has fallen 26% from its peak, despite farms becoming 3 times larger and cows producing more milk per head. That is not efficiency. That is an industry contracting while farmers fight to survive. So what should you use instead? Genuinely Australian-owned alternatives are available right now. Norco is 100% Australian farmer-owned, the way dairy should be. Established in Byron Bay in 1895, Norco is a cooperative with over 300 member farms in northern New South Wales and southeast Queensland. When you buy Norco, 100% of profits stay with Australian farming families. They were voted #1 most trusted farmer cooperative by Australian farmers in the Roy Morgan survey. Bega Group returned many iconic brands to Australian ownership. In January 2021, Bega acquired Lion Dairy and Drinks for $534 million, bringing dairy farmers, Pura, Big M, Dare, Farmers Union and Yoplait back to Australian hands. Bega originated as a dairy cooperative in 1899 in the New South Wales town of the same name. Close to half its publicly traded shares are still held by farmer suppliers. The largest shareholder is Tatarang, owned by Australian billionaire Andrew Forrest's family. Buller Dairy Foods is Australian family owned since 1910, based in Melbourne. They use fresh Australian milk and have been recognised for paying farmers fairly. Regional alternatives include Bannister Downs in Western Australia, Fleurieu Milk and Jersey Fresh in South Australia, and Ashgrove in Tasmania, which introduced climate-friendly milk using native Tasmanian seaweed to reduce methane emissions by 25%. Here is the bottom line. Most milk brands on Australian shelves are owned by French, Canadian or New Zealand multinationals. The cooperative your grandparents trusted was sold to Canadian shareholders. Processors have been fined for unfair treatment of farmers. Supermarket price wars have driven 70% of dairy farms out of business since 2000. But you have choices. Norco, Bega Brands, Buller and regional independents are genuinely Australian-owned, supporting local farmers and keeping profits in our communities. Every time you choose Australian-owned milk, you are voting with your wallet. You are supporting the farmers who wake before dawn, work 70-hour weeks, and deserve more than $2.46 per hour for feeding the nation. Check your fridge tonight. Read the label. Next time you reach for milk, make it Australian-owned. If you found this video valuable, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs to know the truth about their milk. Until next time, buy Australian.